All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Cheers.
Welcome to another episode of Three Cocktails In. How are you guys tonight?
Cheery.
Good. Cheery.
Right. Cheery. We're having pink drinks.
What is it? What have you mixed up there?
I have our signature cocktail.
Oh.
Yep. It's the old Grey Goose Citron, Palma, and some limoncello and a little swirl of orange zest. And it's fabulous.
Is that what we named the Nefertini?
Yes, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do
you remember when we used to add soda or tonic to it or Fresca? Yeah.
I don't know.
Now, just going straight shots.
Okay.
Well, there.
It's a martini.
There you go. Yeah, I still, I'm a little, kind of weak. So mine still has Fresca in it.
Yeah.
Mine has Fresca. Good old, I'm still working on this black cherry Fresca.
It's very seasonal, that black cherry. I bet it's pretty.
It is. It is.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on my grocery list for next week.
There you go.
I also found a recipe, as we're talking about next week in cocktails, for a tequila ginger sort of margarita mule sort of thing, and it looked really good, and I sent it to all my children's. And the responses I got, I said, do we like tequila? And I got, I'm in. I love tequila. Yes, tequila with pomegranate juice would be healthy for us. And one, I don't mind tequila. So I think we found our cocktail.
Yes.
Okay.
Tequila it is.
Yep, tequila.
Tequila.
I'm sure that was present when Mary and Joseph celebrated the birth of Christ.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, these are all very fancy concoctions, which sort of makes sense for what we're going to talk about tonight. A little bit. I don't know.
A little bit.
We have been wanting to dig in and talk a little bit about the Martha Stewart documentary, and that's what we're going to dig into tonight. So I think last week we teed this up and we said, you guys, go watch it. It's on Netflix. Watch it so that when you listen to this episode, you can,
Talk back.
Yeah.
talk back to us. Agree, disagree.
Agree or disagree.
Exactly. So I watched it now a couple times. I think you guys probably did too.
Yeah.
To just refresh memory. So I watched it again and I took copious notes.
Oh my.
Yeah, pages of notes. Because I remember when I watched it the first time, there were so many things. I was like, oh, we need to talk about that. Oh, we need to talk about that. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
one of the first things that hit me right at the very beginning, I think it was even in the introduction, I think it was probably, actually, I should have taken note of who was saying this. The show didn't really have a narrator. It had different people speaking. A friend of hers, a few different people in her life, her daughter, but someone who was speaking at the very beginning, she basically, I'm paraphrasing, but she basically said in regard to people who have reached a certain level of status or success in their lives or a certain level of notoriety, the question is, did they create the moment or did the moment create them?
Oh, great question.
I know. And I just thought, which is it?
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think you have to be well aware and in tune to what's going on around you and what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
then you take your opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You go for it. And I feel like that's kind of what Martha did.
I
You
think she
know,
did
she kind
too.
of watched what was going on, did it her way, a little bit different,
Yeah.
and then saw the opening. And I know we talked about this a little bit with, to that first cookbook that she even wanted to do.
Yep.
You know, they had a vision of what they wanted her to do, and she said, nope, that's not how this is going to work.
Yeah.
So I think that she took full advantage of the chances that were coming
Hmm.
by.
Yeah. And she talks about that, how she was very good at finding things that people were wanting, but there wasn't that thing yet. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? She would
Yeah.
find reasons to do this because no one else was doing it, and this because no one else was doing it. Same thing.
Right.
She had a very good sense of what, probably mostly maybe women, in general, but women at that time wanted to see, whether it be on her show, in the magazines, and, all of
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
So she noted that, and I think I don't remember if we talked about this on the last episode or if we talked about it when we were prepping for this one. Um, Amy, I think you posed the question, who were her contemporaries at that time?
Yes.
Right. Who
Right.
else was doing this? And she commented, and again, this was very much at the beginning, that all of the women who were kind of in this space, who were that traditional homemaker, and they were always shown cooking and making the home, etc., like Betty Crocker, and some of these other faces of that sort of persona, they were all nice. They were nice. They were polite. They were soft spoken, um, and
Demure.
demure. Yes, and she wasn't a loudmouth by any means, but she wasn't that.
No, she
Hmm.
was not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she kind of started to stir things up, just by kind of shaking up that persona that everybody just expected out of the homemaker. Everyone was nice. She did everything different.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I
Well,
think you could, like, I was really interested in her upbringing,
Hmm.
and the large family. I think that there was some disconnect between parents, perhaps, and she very much was her dad's
Hmm.
daughter, which is super interesting because later on in her show, her mom was on all the time, and all the things she imparted were from the women in her family.
That's right.
But I just really
Yep.
felt like she was that tomboy,
Hmm.
um, gardening, doing the outside things.
hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would guess, and then going into finance, like out of college
Hmm.
at that time. I mean, she's how much older than us? Is she 80 now? Is
Mhm.
Martha 80? How did we not check that? And I'm not saying you guys, I'm saying just watching.
She's if
Yeah, I
she's
know.
not if she's not, she's very close, because I did her daughter is our age, so she'd be, um, our mother's age in theory.
Yeah.
I think she's 79 or 80, but
Yeah. So if you think about a young woman in
Yeah.
finance, Wall Street,
yeah.
trading,
Well, she said there were no women's restrooms where she was working.
Hmm.
yeah.
That's how male dominated it was. You didn't have women working there. She is 83.
Oh,
Oh,
83.
okay. Good. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Younger than
So
we
she's
thought.
been ballsy from the start, and you don't come into those situations and you don't succeed in those situations
Hmm.
unless you are not only great at what you do, but you got to be able to dish it as much as, as well as take.
Yeah.
And I mean, lots of times I think about how some of the people that they talk about their work right now, I think about, oh my God, if you would have been in my office when I started, I can't quite fathom how a 25-year-old, 28-year-old right now would would have coped in
Mm-hmm.
that sort of environment.
Yeah.
I mean, brutal.
It was it was a different world.
Yes.
Um, so I thought it was interesting when the interviewer asked her, "What do you hate?" And and I mean I know that the video was edited, but I thought it was interesting how she said, "Oh, that's a difficult question," but then she rattled, "I hate this, I
A
hate this,
bunch
I
of
hate this, I
things.
hate
Yeah.
this."
Yeah. Yeah. And funny things like she doesn't like purple and she doesn't like red.
Red, yeah.
Okay.
But so she led with, "I hate waste, I hate
Mhm.
inefficiency, I hate avoidance, I hate impatience, I hate lack of detail." And so if you think about those things, those are all things that makes her the perfectionist that she is.
Right.
And so when you hold those as your standards and you expect other people around you to, meet those standards as well, of course you're going to come across as,
Right.
wow, she's she's a little hard to deal with. No, she just expects a certain level of performance.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't think she's ever, I mean, it sounded to me along the lines of what you're saying. I don't think she's ever expected anything from anybody around her that she herself does not do.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
Now, it
Yeah.
might be, and perhaps again, we come back to expectations. The people who have gone to work for her were expecting something different.
Hmm.
Right.
And so it's their dissatisfaction
Yeah.
with the job. I mean, she
Mhm.
didn't lie to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. There's at one point she says, that she wasn't trying to be superwoman, by doing all the things that she has done. She was just trying to be the everywoman. You know what I mean? Because they give her a lot of crap for that, this is too fancy, too hard, too whatever, because she
Yeah.
was just trying to teach people how to
Yeah.
do different things, and it came across fancy. But her difference than like a Betty Crocker or Julia Child was she was showing the whole entertainment piece of it.
Hmm.
It wasn't just, okay, here's a recipe for a cake and here's how you make it. It was, yes, making the cake plus your tablescape and your, all the other little fancy things that go with it, and that entire process, which included flowers from her garden, and you know
Hmm.
what I mean, the whole
Yeah.
entire process, and
Yeah.
vegetables from her garden, you know what I mean, all.
Yeah.
And she was just showing how, to do that. So I get that people, think, well, she could just do everything. That's unattainable for most of us to be able to do, what she did. And I think that's missing the point. It's, we might get one thing we wanted to do out of everything she was showing. I might want to do this, you, Kitty, might want to do something else, and Amy might gravitate towards something else. So it was showing a wide variety of
Ways
everything, recipe.
to
Yes,
entertain.
ways to entertain, things to do while you're entertaining. Yep.
Yeah.
She,
Yeah. You know,
yeah.
go ahead.
So, and I can't remember if these were her exact words or if this was her friend who was describing her. She said she wanted to make it possible for everyone to have the home that they wanted, whether or not they had money.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yes.
Well, that gets
And
off onto the Kmart tangent.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think that was very unexpected for Martha Stewart, fancy, Martha Stewart with
Hmm.
a ton of money, is, um, selling goods through Kmart, which is more of, always had been thought of a lower end price point store. right?
Yeah.
But
Yep.
it was just trying, and just like you said, trying to bring beautiful things into, in an affordable way.
Yep.
Well, and I don't think Kmart would have been her first option. That all came out after her stock tanked, right? After the
Mm.
whole insider
Mm-mm.
I think
trading.
that was
And
I don't think so. That was before.
before.
Yeah, it was before
Mhm.
that. Yeah, I think so.
It, and which I think is why it was so surprising to people.
Yeah.
Um, but again, it was, and there was, I can't remember who was interviewing her. One of the nighttime hosts was interviewing her and saying, "What are you doing with Kmart?" Um, I mean, drawing attention to the fact that people who shop at Kmart don't have any money, which is nasty. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not necessarily true. There,
Right.
you know, um, but again, she just went back to, well, even people without as much money still like to have nice things. So now here we go. Those people, everyone can have nice things. Um, she called herself the ultimate. She called herself the modern feminist,
the modern what?
making a
Feminist.
modern feminist, because she was making homemaking a powerful thing rather than a subservient thing.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Martha Stewart. Still love Martha Stewart for different reasons.
Mhm.
But I was one of those that went to college, got married, worked for a few years, had a couple kids, and decided to stay home. And, it boggled my mom's mind that I was of the kind of that first generation where we just all assumed we were going to college.
Right.
But as we've talked about, we went to college to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people I know, at least who I went to college with or I went to high school with, went to college and studied something they were passionate about. I
Hmm.
mean, so when I decide to stay at home, I get really into Martha Stewart, really into it. And I loved her. And I remember people looking at me and saying, well, why do you, I mean, really? Really? And I'm like, you know what? She gave value to what I was doing. She elevated,
Mm-hmm.
or, or didn't elevate, but she showed the world more to cooking than just cooking. She made this business and she made it acceptable and drew attention to all the things that you do in your home that add value to your
Yeah.
family. And I find it interesting, Stacey, that when we talk about Martha Stewart, you use the word fancy. And you did when we were talking about it before, that she was
Mm-hmm.
super fancy. I never
Right.
really thought of her as fancy. I thought of her as super skilled and stuff I'd
Yes.
never seen and didn't know anything about. My mom never did fresh flowers, other
Yeah.
than, I don't know, we'd bring home dandelions or something. There were no cut flowers in our house. I still can't put a bouquet of flowers together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the ribbons on presents and wrapping presents this time of year, they were always the prepackaged ones that, you rip off the sticker on the back and you slap on the top. No clue how to do that. So
Hmm.
I guess I didn't think of it as fancy. I thought it as just something new. And so the whole
I
idea of
think
why would you go to
I
Kmart?
think yeah, I think people thought it was fancy. Like for instance, it even showed it on the thing where you can just make a turkey, or you can wrap it in puff pastry and make it. You know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
just saying, people thought it was a little. Again, it was for entertaining. That's really her thing. When you're entertaining, here's how you're gonna, make it a little, other than just pulling a turkey out of the oven. You know what I mean? And like I said, it was more about the presentation and the teaching people how to do something than it was, here's the recipe, you just make it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree. It was, more than just your typical,
I think
typical recipe.
when you bring up Martha Stewart, so I mentioned it today on my live show. I said we're recording a podcast tonight. We're going to be talking about the Martha Netflix documentary. You guys go watch it and then listen to our podcast when it drops. And I made the statement, I love Martha Stewart. And I had a couple of people, and they were joking, but I had a couple of people comment and said, you may have just lost a customer. So you either love, I've found that you either love Martha Stewart or you hate her.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of polarizing.
Well, I could imagine if you were younger than we are, that all you knew was when she went to prison.
Yeah.
It's possible that's the story
Yeah.
and post that, not everything ahead of it.
Yeah. Okay, can we talk about her personal life a little bit?
Yes.
So this was one of the things that I have been dying to talk to you guys about, because it hit me the first time I watched it, and then I made sure that I was listening closely the second time to make sure that I was taking it in correctly. So she married at 19. They went on an extended honeymoon, which is like for 5 weeks they were traveling in Europe. Like, who did that in 1968? I think it was 1968 or 69. Okay, so they're traveling, and do I need to be worried about spoiler alerts here?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I think if you got to this point and haven't watched it, maybe you stopped the podcast. Go watch it if you want.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
come back and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're like a day or 2 days before going home. They're in Florence. Andy is in the hotel room. She's like, I'm going to go to the Duomo. I want to go to a service or something, right? So she's there. It's just as you would expect Florence to be. And she sees a handsome man, and it's a very romantic experience, and they kiss. She's on her honeymoon. Okay. So, and she just chalks it up to
Emotional.
it was emotion. There
Play.
was nothing to it other than just emotion. And it's a very fond memory that she has. I wanted to ask, who's the guy? Like, does this guy know that it was Martha Stewart that he was kissing in the square in Florence?
Yeah, interesting.
I don't
And
know.
once again, that's just Martha taking a great experience and taking it to the next level.
Right. Yep.
Anybody can go to Florence and
Yeah.
sit in the Duomo and have this wonderful experience. Not everybody's kissing a handsome Italian man on their honeymoon. In addition to their husband.
In addition
Right?
to their husband, right. And I think one of the last things that she said about that whole experience, she said, everyone should experience that sort of evening. It was just the whole experience. She didn't have one single regret. Said everyone should have that kind of experience. Okay, so now fast forward, and she's into the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And her husband is unfaithful.
Right.
Evidently multiple times.
Multiple
And
times.
so was she. So was
So
she
was
with
she.
another person. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought was really interesting.
I did
Not
too.
just during the honeymoon,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but when they ask her about her affair, and she goes, "Oh, Andy didn't know about that.
Yeah. He didn't know. And it was
That didn't count.
nothing.
He didn't know about it."
Yeah. It was nothing. It wasn't important, but yet he cheated and she's all upset.
Yeah. But in her mind, the difference was, so she said, yeah, that was nothing. I wouldn't have broken up a marriage over it. He did.
Right.
He just threw me away.
Oh my
So-
God. She was so, that's when I found her to be the most endearing is when you actually get to hear the bitterness,
Mm-hmm.
the how horrible he made her feel, how worthless he made her feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I really felt for her.
I'm glad. I think this is one of the reasons why I felt that the documentary was real,
Yeah.
because she did put it all out there. And for someone who is as strong as she is, she's known that he ripped her heart. She felt like nothing. Um she felt like garbage. She used those words. And to hear someone like that who comes across as so strong, it's, that I feel like, okay, that's, she's telling the true story here. And even those people that you feel they've got it all together, they have these feelings and these emotions as well. So yeah, that she was hurt by that deeply. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
He cheated. It was not okay. She cheated. It was like, what? There's no big deal.
Yeah, it's no big deal. I know. That's the part I was stuck on. It's like, no. Okay.
Well, I thought the part that I was stuck on was, oh, he didn't know. So like,
Yeah.
if she wouldn't have known, it
Yeah.
might have been okay. You know, that was just interesting how,
It was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Where else can we go? There are just so many.
I would like to
places to
talk
go
about
here.
her prison stint and how that came about.
Okay.
Because I remember listening to this, and she ended up going to jail for insider trading. Now,
No,
I
no,
gotta
no,
say,
no, no. No, she didn't. She didn't
not
go
for
to jail
insider
for
trading, for lying.
lying to the FBI or CIA, whichever.
Yeah.
They got her on lying. It wasn't that they could not get her on insider trading. That was that whole piece about Comey, how we would just wanted to make an example of her. And so it was not insider trading. It was like lying or I don't know, misleading the whatever.
Yes.
Which is
So,
interesting.
you know, back then we were all watching regular network news. There was no cable news, so you just heard little bits. And so I just remember hearing that there were other people that were other men much further involved, that she was a satellite to the core issue, and she's the only one, I think, that went to prison. And that infuriated me.
Yeah.
Again, just another sign of the injustice for a successful woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just bugged the crap out of me then. And so I was really interested to hear, about her experience in jail and how, or in prison. And, we all made fun of her being at some sort of country club, but she said, it wasn't fun. It was hard. It was, you don't have anybody to talk to. What do you do? How do you, she made a couple friends, I think, by common interests.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She, she said everything that you've ever heard about these places is true. And as you said, it wasn't a country club.
Right.
So
she didn't always feel safe.
Mhm.
So yeah, it wasn't, it probably wasn't easy. At the same time, it was only 5 months. I thought of that too. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It would feel like forever, but it really wasn't that long. I chuckled. Did you see the part when she, got picked up and then walked on her jet and she had on this homemade crocheted poncho? I thought she looked really good. I thought it was just, here's sticking it to you, for putting me here and thinking that we wouldn't do, Martha Stewart activities, right?
That poncho went viral.
It did.
yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I was really, really interested in how she had everything taken from her then, having gone to jail.
Yeah.
She lost her company
Yep.
and had to start over.
Hmm.
And not only was she great at the entertaining piece, but she has an incredible business mind. When they got into
Yeah.
the whole
Hmm.
omnimedia, where
Mhm.
she, Kitty, as you talked about, a little bit on one of our last episodes, how she was and is the brand,
Hmm.
and how
Yep.
she had that whole thing figured out. I mean, way ahead of her time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
or,
I
maybe
agree.
it was finally we got to hear something about it.
Yeah.
But you look at Martha Stewart, now look at Taylor Swift. Taylor
Mhm.
Swift is the brand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Taylor's got control of
Everything. Mhm.
all this stuff. And I think there are
Mhm.
so many women now that have seen Martha,
Hmm.
whether it's on purpose as a mentor or a path to follow. But I love when we can connect the dots, when you can
Yeah.
trace back to the women who have gone before
Hmm.
and the struggles that they've had and
Yeah.
how they've managed to stay on their game
Hmm.
and make it a little bit better and make it a little bit better. So while I'm not always a Swiftie with the music, I have great admiration for her business acumen. Just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
you cannot like Martha Stewart, but
Hmm.
Right.
you got to be pretty damn impressed with her
Mhm.
business skills.
I mean, I
Exactly.
would. I agree. I would think so too. And same with Taylor. I agree. I'm not really into the music, but yeah, you have to have respect
Yeah.
for
What
what
she's
these women
done.
have done.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, so backing up a little bit. So, Amy, when you said that that it was just such an injustice, and that perhaps was she ended up going to prison to she was made an example of basically.
Yes.
So, what if we flip that upside down and ask the question? So, was her comeback a testament to her resilience, or does it reflect how privilege can cushion setbacks?
Mhm.
I think it has. I think it has a lot to do in this particular case. I'll say it has to do with her resilience. Just having listened to how she grew up and how she built her business once again.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, I can't think of anybody right now, and that might be a clue too. But it would have been really easy for her to just disappear. I mean,
Hmm.
look at Paula Dean.
Oh
Oh.
yeah.
Stuck her foot in her mouth. I mean, had some really bad choices early
Hmm.
on. And, I don't know the whole story, but we've never seen another.
That's
Have you
right.
seen, have
No.
you ever heard another thing from her?
Mm-mm.
No.
No. Disappeared.
And I
Mhm.
think that could have been Martha or
Yeah.
Mhm.
someone who isn't Martha who was in that situation.
Hmm.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
I believe it was her resilience for
Oh yeah.
sure. I think it's easy for people to say that, oh, she was privileged, so of course she was going to be able to bounce back right away. She made every bit of her post prison success happen
Yeah.
because of what she had up here, and just her tenacity and
Mhm.
brains and connections. I mean,
I,
the connections didn't do it for her. She knew what she could do with her brand.
yeah. I and I'm trying to remember if she said anything about it, but I feel like after she came out of prison, I thought I something clicked that I feel like she was more open to other voices.
Mm.
So, like she talks a little bit, I think about doing the roast that they
Yeah.
invited her to go do,
Right.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she never would have done it. She didn't know why she was doing it. She didn't really
Mhm.
understand what it was,
Hmm.
but her daughter or some other people said, "You need to go do this."
That's
And she
right.
listened and did it. Whereas I wonder if pre-prison, if she would, you know, where she was at and her path, if she ever listened to those outside voices.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not, because that was all her company, all her doing. Whereas after, and she felt like she had nothing left. She had to, she was no longer the boss and the CEO and the owner and whatever. You know what I mean? So she probably kind of you know, had to listen to everybody, you know.
So I'm just trying to I'm refreshing my memory here. How old was she when she got out of prison?
Was she in her 60s?
When did she go to prison?
Why did that
We'll
not?
Google it.
How old was Martha Stewart when she left prison? Why is it not
Yeah.
just handing me the answer?
Somebody
Right?
put that in the chatter. It's what I refer to now as the chat GPT. Put it in the chatter, see what comes out.
Um, so yeah, and it was at that roast where she met Snoop Dogg, and that's where they
Yeah.
developed their.
Yeah, they're crediting that roast specifically for kind of bringing her back into the, spotlight.
Culture.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Introducing a whole new generation to
right.
her. Yeah, I love the new Martha, the Martha as of the late. I think once again proving the older you get, the less you give a shit, and the
Mhm.
bolder you become.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
It was 20 years ago. So she was
Yeah, so she was
63.
in her early 60s when she got out of
Okay.
jail.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
who starts over? Well, we do. Whoop whoop.
Mhm.
We do. But to
Right.
start over
Yeah.
at 63,
Yeah.
64,
Mhm.
having been on the top of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was one cringe moment in
Ooh, what was
the
it?
documentary that made me just go, "Oh, Martha, come on." She was in the kitchen with one of her
Mhm.
staff.
About
Yeah.
using the wrong knife for cutting the
Yes.
tomatoes.
But But I caught it the second time. That was right before she was going to prison. So think about it. You're not very happy, at the moment. So I'm going to give her just a tiny bit of a pass. And
You're
I'm
going to give her some
sure
grace on the bad
and I'm
knife.
sure they edited it to be bad, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there was other parts to it. Yeah, she was not very kind, but again, I'm giving her a pass because it was right before she knew she had to go to prison, so she probably wasn't in the best of moods. But I also would have to agree. Her staff weren't just somebody from who knows where. They should have honestly known how to cut an orange, right? Instead of with a piddly
One
little
would
knife.
think.
Duh.
Yeah. One would think. I just in that moment I
Yeah.
just knew I would never last an
No.
hour on her staff. I would be
Right.
bawling. And she always says there's no crying in business.
Mhm.
Oh, I
Mhm.
would be a puddle on the floor. She would make me cry instantly.
No. You're just like, yeah, okay, I'll use another knife, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a trip, man. And did you see her at the end when she's driving her golf cart through her gardens and
Yes.
she's telling all the gardeners what to do
Mhm.
and not to screw
Yep.
it up? Don't be cutting it
Yeah.
all off.
Yeah.
And I
Don't
thought,
break the pots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't break the
yeah,
pots.
like, okay, well, I was going to try. I was going to try
Yeah.
and break the pots, but now I will
Yeah.
try not to break the pots,
Right.
stating the obvious sort of thing. Yeah,
Yep.
I loved all of that footage. And it always makes me wonder in these kind of documentaries,
Mhm.
Mhm.
what's on the cutting room floor?
Yeah.
Yes.
What got edited out?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Mm.
You
Yep.
know, I've heard it on a couple different situations, the clip where she says, if you want to be happy for a year, get married.
Yeah.
If you want to be happy for 10 years, get a dog. If you want to be happy for a lifetime, make a garden.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I just thought that was really, I mean, what a
Yeah.
life to
I
that. I
know.
mean, she's true about the 10 years and the dog.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Yep.
Mm.
Mm.
I wrote
Yeah.
that down too.
Yeah.
Ah, so good. I'm
Did you
so glad.
learn,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did you learn anything about her that made you either love her more or love her less?
Hmm.
I mean, Kitty, I know you really love her. Stacy, I know that you had a lot of her magazines, and as you mentioned, probably still do in your
Yeah.
archive.
I need to go. Yes, I need to go dig out through my archive and see if they're
That's right.
there.
Wear the white gloves.
Yeah.
Go your archive. Um, did
Um.
it change your opinion about her?
Hmm.
No.
I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
No.
I just enjoyed learning more or seeing more. I enjoyed seeing more. Um.
Yeah.
So, and you just hearing about her early life, and hearing her acknowledge there wasn't a lot of affection in her house.
No.
And so, is there really any surprise that she is, that matter of fact and she's not warm and fuzzy?
Mm-mm.
She said her mom wasn't affectionate, and the dad, I mean, if they did something wrong, and he was like this, and if they did something wrong, she'd be slapped across the face. So
Yeah.
you're the product of your upbringing. And she even said, how was I going to be a great parent when I really wasn't parented
Yeah.
well myself? So
It makes me kind of appreciate, like I said, those episodes when she had her mom on.
mhm,
And
yeah,
she was, doing it the way her mom taught her. And I thought she was very respectful and
yeah,
loving, looked very loving at her mother.
yeah,
Like she was very happy to have her mom there and share this,
mhm,
which now knowing how she grew up, I
Mhm.
think maybe age has also softened.
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
Softened Martha about that.
Mhm.
Or maybe not. I mean, what do we know? But I
Well,
wouldn't have gotten that from the 12-year-old girl, Martha.
no.
Right.
Um, I think that as we mature, and you know, us having gone through having our own kids and living the struggles that we lived with them, disciplining and helping them grow up and dealing with all of that, you at a certain point r- acknowledge my mom and dad didn't know what they were doing when they raised us, just like we didn't
Right.
know what we were doing when we raised Bo. So you come to a um, acceptance of it, and you don't blame
Yeah.
them. Don't
Right.
blame them for it. They were doing the best that they could based on how they were raised.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said
Yeah. I.
that there was one picture of her in her kitchen, and Martha was sitting on the floor talking on the phone, and her mom was at the stove and she was cooking. And she said, I sat in that kitchen with my mom and I watched everything that she did and I learned everything from her. But this cookie cutter house situation was not for me. And I knew that I was going to go off to college and,
Yeah.
and not go back.
Yep.
Yeah. And, a lot of us did go back to our.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting. Definitely. I hope everybody listening will, if you haven't already, go watch.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what you think. We're always asking for that. Give us some feedback.
And the tale of Martha is not just a woman's tale. I
Right.
think men would find it very interesting, probably more insightful,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not having paid attention to the phenomenon that was Martha Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like we should do another one. All right. So what other documentaries are out there that we should put into our queue and maybe in a month and a half come back and I don't want to watch the P. Diddy one.
No.
No. Me neither. No, thank
so,
you.
No.
I didn't like him before I found out about all this BS.
No, I didn't either.
Same.
No, we didn't care about that.
So
Hey,
we'll have to see.
Along these lines, and I was thinking about, when we were talking about Martha, talking about entertaining, brought to mind Ina Garten.
Yeah.
Ina Garten's show is all about going beyond the food and the entertaining. She has a new book that's out that talks about her life. Also, very interesting woman who went and worked for. I don't know if it was. I mean, she was in D.C. working for one of the big government branches of government, and then got married young. Stuck with Jeffrey, but at one point, evidently, I find her success story very interesting as well. So maybe we got an audio book and reevaluate these women icons of the, again, they're business people. It's what's so interesting to me is how they take this nugget of something they love to do or notice that people don't do, as Martha said, what is missing from the landscape. I should have asked for that book for Christmas.
I didn't know that she had a new book out.
Yeah, very recent. Very recent. And I have heard some clips about it, so I think it might be, again,
that's a good idea.
If it's written at all like her cookbooks, it's not going to be a hard read. I enjoy her cookbooks. I have 4 of them. And I really do, again, like the photographs, and I like the stories that are told with it. But they're very attainable dishes. So
cool. Hey, on that note of cooking, this is not a shot, but this is a comment about last week's episode about the Christmas flops and mishaps.
What happened?
Yes. So I after this mishap, I have decided that I will no longer ever make a recipe from the interwebs or even maybe Pinterest. I'm going to make tried and true family recipes or ones where I've had it and you give me the recipe because it's so great. Not doing weird stuff that I think looks really good.
So what did you make that was disappointing?
Well, I had some leftover, in my quest to use up alcohol.
Okay. We all start laughing.
Yes, right? So this may be the first problem. No, I saw a recipe for, oh my gosh, I lost it. What's not hot damn, but the cinnamon whiskey?
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fireball whiskey balls, right? And it basically I know, right? And they were very cute. So
I got to hear what you thought was going to be good with this,
right?
So please.
So think cake ball. I mean, I like a cake ball, and I like that white chocolate stuff on the outside. I know. See, right? But I figured, someone in my family is gonna like them because we like fireballs. So I thought that'd be good. Oh my God, they were bad. I threw them away.
Okay, so it was fireball cake balls?
Yes. Right. Yeah. The problem with them, it wasn't like a cake ball. It had cream cheese in it. So it was almost like,
this just is sounding worse and worse
It does. Well, it was bad. It was bad.
How much Fireball did you have while you were reading this recipe?
No, didn't have any. No.
Yeah,
so
every
scratch
time I hear the word Fireball, I think back to the Gustavus Homecoming. That they had Fireball as a theme, and the college kids went bananas with it. You know, Homecoming was sponsored by Fireball alcohol, which is so not what it was, but you know, always makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Oh my.
No. Nope.
Yeah.
Going back to
pass on
something
the Fireball.
What was that? What did you say?
I'm going to pass on the Fireball.
I know.
Yes.
Fireball is not for me.
I just thought it would be nice cinnamon, you know, a nice cinnamon vanilla thing. Oh, no, it was terrible.
No.
And it wasn't really the Fireball that was the problem. It was the cream cheese and the cake mix. It's just too weird. Very weird. So,
yeah. Did I tell you guys, did I say it on during the last taping, or did I say it afterwards, that one of my last match dates, my first date with a man, first and only date with a man, we went out to this very, very cool bar that I'd never been to. Great call on the bar, Char Bar in Minneapolis. So if you're in Minneapolis, it's part of Butcher and Board down in the North Loop, the far end of North Loop. Great place, great cocktails. He ordered a Captain's and Coke.
well, I mean, some people just like a drink that they always like. I mean, you used to make fun of me. You still do make fun of some of the things I drink. However,
yes.
Was that the reason, like, he only got one date, is because of his drink choice isn't up to your high standard?
I mean, you're sitting there with a variety of craft cocktails, and there was rum and other cocktails, and there's all these beautiful bottles of all these different alcohols, and you go with a Captain Morgan's and Coke, and she goes, yeah, we don't have Captain Morgan's. We do have a spiced rum. He goes, that'll be good. I'm like, oh my God. Is this 1988, 89, where we're just ordering a rum and Diet Coke?
Well, maybe that's what he likes.
Yeah.
If it was Bill would have ordered a Jack and Diet Coke.
Okay, but I do not think a Captain Morgan's is a grown man's drink.
Oh, that's
Fight me on that. Have at it, people. I'd love to hear if I'm out of my mind with that.
Yeah, we'll see.
So
you think your taste should evolve as you get older?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if you're hanging on the boat with your pals and you want to drink a Captain, you know, Coke, go ahead. But no. No.
Okay. Well, I hope we get some feedback on that and see what everyone
I'm not going on another date with him. I have been on 2 dates, and I have a 3rd date coming up this coming weekend. So
with the same
there
person.
may be more to tell.
With the same person. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, with the same person. Yep.
Who knows? You just never know.
That's right. You just never know. We might do my year in review of 2024 on Match.
Yeah.
Whew. I might need another cocktail. I might have to pour a pitcher.
There you go.
Yes. All right, ladies.
Okay, well, fabulous. Don't have any idea what we're talking about next, but it will be riveting. So it always is. All right, you guys have a fabulous week. Cheers to everyone. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation. I'm about to start a celebration. Let me in. Brought a good time plus some friends. Turn it up loud past 10. Turning up the